Hi, Susan Clare here, GourmetQuilter. Just showing you a little bit more about the sew along that we're doing. We're having a whole lot of fun over 8 sessions of making a sew along quilt where we're all sewing along together. So I'm showing you the blocks that I'm suggesting. There are patterns available on my website on GourmetQuilter.com for the sew along 2021, and we're doing it in 3 colorways. I'm sure you probably know this by now. I've suggested you can of course choose your own colors. I've done a red and green on a light white background suggestion. I've done some blues on a light background, and then I've done some multicolors on a dark background. So those are my multicolors. They're my red and greens, and they're my blues. So this time we're up to block 4. So what we've done, we're actually up to part 5, but it's block number 4 because we did blocks 1 and 2, then we did block 3 was our alternate block because one of the blocks alternates all the way through, and that's this one here, here or here. And then we did some quilt as you go. So I've shown you how that you might want to do some joining up, quilting before you finish everything, do your blocks, then join them up. So I've shown you how to do all that as well. So this time in part 5, we're making block 4. How confusing is that? However, lots of fun. It's a fun block this time. So this is block 4, and I've got it up here already. This is the one with a darker version, or some slightly different colours I think underneath, and that's another one in the red and green version, and then I've done the blue one here. And I'm just going to show you how I've constructed it on the second blue version. So fairly simple this time, but instead of all squares, we've just got this larger red piece here is actually a rectangle, but then with a corner off it here. So there's notes, as I said, on the website on GourmetQuilter.com for block 4, somewhere or other here, which shows you all the cutting and everything that you need to know on things like that. So I'll just run through it here for you just so that you can see it. So I've got my frame. These blocks all have the frame around them. If you remember, we've got the sides and the top and bottom to bring the block up to the size that we want so that it matches the alternate block and sets off the colours nicely. And so for this block here, it's made really in 4 quarters is the easiest way to make it. So I've cut the rectangles, and then to make that nice corner off there, it's much the same as a half square triangle, only that it's onto a rectangle. So here's my rectangle, and here's my square that I'm putting onto it. And as I like to save the corner that we trim away, I've done my 2 lines of sewing, which you can see here, and I'm going to cut between them because when we flip that down, that gives us a rectangle with the corner missing. Now all 4 rectangles are done the same way, so it's the same corner that's missing each time. But I have suggested using 2 different colours, so do 2 one colour and 2 another colour. It's very simple. So having stitched that on, I've done my 2 lines of pencil marking, and then I've stitched the 2 lines, and I have done the rest of the block of course. I'm just going to trim between the 2 lines. This is my corner that I can say that's already a half square triangle unit for some other delicious project. And then I'm going to press this into the corner. So for each block, remember we're making 2 of each block. For each block you need 4 units like this, but I am suggesting that you use 2 different corner colours just to give it a little bit more interest in the middle, so that when they are joined you haven't got 4 all the same sitting there, but you've got 2, and they could be quite different colours of course. You could have 4 colours in there. So having made units like that with the corner on it, then for this side bit here is simply 2 squares stitched together, and they go on like that, and there is a diagram with your pattern so that you can see that for sure. So that then gets stitched onto that. I'm not going to do it this time because you know how to do all this, and you'll end up with a unit that looks a whole lot like that. You need 4 of those per block. Remember, 2 corners are different. Then we sew those 2 together, or sew those into pairs. So that's half the block there. This one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here, so that these colours are opposite, so it just gives it a little bit more interest. Even though they're quite similar in this block, it's still more interesting than if it was just the same fabric. And then so when all that's joined up, we pop the sides on, pop the frame on to make the whole block, and that will measure the same as the other blocks do at 12.5 inches. And then we can get them quilted. Because I'm making 3 quilts, I'm a little bit behind with some of my quilting, but it's going to be a whole lot of fun to be able to get all the blocks quilted and then be able to join them up in the quilt as you go type method that I showed you last time. So that was really just running through the process. That's a fun block, fairly quick and easy this time, just with some squares, the rectangle and the one triangle on the end of the rectangle there. So that was block 4, which is part 5 of our 8 parts for the sew along. Some of you are getting along super well. You're sending me photos, which is really exciting for me to see what you're up to. Thank you for doing that. And please keep enjoying it. It's a whole lot of fun, and I will see you again next time.